Let's talk guidance for 2025 from different galactic councils of light that we're going to be talking with today. And so I'm going to just start these messages by opening it up, opening my channel up after we've set up that sacred space, opening up and asking the first council of light to come in. So right away, I see Pleiadian. So we're doing Pleiadian Council for Humanity. The Pleiadian Council for Humanity is a mixture of Pleiadians that have either experienced what it's like to be human on Earth, so they understand that, or they have someone that they love here on Earth as a human. They're showing me all of these Pleiadians that agreed to come down here and act, human, be human, not act human, be born into these human bodies and be human, essentially. But we are connected to them. We're their friends, we're their family. Sometimes we're actual council members. So the Pleiadian Council for Humanity has a very vested interest in humans. Okay, so let's see what the Pleiadian Council for Humanity has to share with us. And again, these messages are for the awakened starseeds and light workers in the awakened soul community. Okay, anyone who sees this message, it's for you. All right, Pleiadian Council for Humanity, what can you share with us about 2025? What can we expect? They're kind of like showing me, like first they laughed and then they showed me like big energy for 2025. Very big energy around two big things, around alien activity and around AI. So these are going to be two of the main points of discussion in the collective, even the unawakened collective. These are going to be the things that everyone is talking about. They're going to be really big. And it's going to carry on through most of 2025, but I see this happening almost in pockets, where everybody's really into like aliens and disclosure, and then we all start talking about AI, and then we kind of bounce back, and it's kind of just a little bit of this back and forth interesting feeling. So I'm going to ask them now. I've already done a 2025 predictions video, and I've already done an AI video, and I've already done an alien disclosure video. So I've really covered so much of this. So I want to ask the Pleiadian Council for Humanity, what can you add that we haven't already talked about? Let's start with one. Let's start with the alien disclosure. What can you share with us that maybe we haven't seen or heard about already around what we can expect in 2025 for this? Okay, they're saying, we've talked about how there's going to be a false flag alien invasion that the government's going to try to orchestrate, and then how aliens kind of like take the real aliens, like higher dimensional beings, actually kind of try to take that over and take the power out of their hands to do that. They're saying 2025 has the potential to run a lot like 2020, where the government rolls out some big dark agenda and then takes all this control and power. And in this case, they would be taking from us our ability to travel on planes, anything to do with being in the sky, due to obviously if there's like a galactic war happening in the sky. But it's false, right? That would be if we ran along the same lower timeline of the 2020 vibes, but we don't have to do that because the majority of the collective is going to be moving into this 4D frequency, which means at least 50%, if not more, of the collective. And I don't just mean the awakening collective now, I mean the entire collective of humanity, like 50% or 51% to make it majority, are going to actually be moving into the 4D frequency, which means that they know, they're in the know, they know about what is down the rabbit holes. They know what conspiracies are actually truth. They know, they can feel, they can sense now when the government is pulling out a dark agenda. And so they're less likely to fall for it. They're more likely to be very angry though. And that means a lot more protests, a lot more clashes in the actual streets in all countries, between their civilians and the politics, which is actually, they use military, right? So unfortunately, that looks like a lot of clashes. That looks like a lot of, because 4D, when you're in that frequency, you're very angry. That's the beginning of everyone's spiritual awakening. So I see a lot of clashing in the streets over this. Over people not believing what the government is selling and saying, absolutely not, you're not taking our rights from us. You're not going to take away my ability to fly on a plane and go see my family, or go do this or go do that, or whatever it is. So clashing in the streets over all of these political dark agendas that they're trying to pull out. But the Pleiadian Council for Humanity wanted to share more in-depth information about the actual disclosure itself. So they're saying that They're showing me some of the things that I've already talked about just as confirmation, like me seeing the orbs that are in the skies being from like seventh dimensional frequency, me seeing like the next phase of this false flag alien invasion being like the reverse engineered ships that are government and military flying out of the sea and like all the holding places where they've had them, and making some announcement around how they're we're being invaded or something, and it's not true, it's their own ships. And then the aliens trying to have like the last laugh by bringing in something so big like a mothership style kind of thing where the our own military can't replicate that. And then that's kind of where they left it last time with me, where they were saying like that would literally be it. That's global disclosure. That's what we've been waiting for, right? We've been waiting for. They're saying, how many years have you been waiting for this to happen? And 2025 has such high potential for these things to take place. And it all really depends on the energetic temperature and how far they can push things without inciting all of this fear and chaos within our collective. But I feel like because most people will be moving into 4D, we have a really good opportunity to actually see these things take place and go through. They're saying that when that happens, when we see like the really large, what they're calling like motherships coming in different places around the globe, big cities. So a lot of people see them over political places like the White House or the Pentagon or whatever, like placed in strategic places that they know that looks like a threat, that they know that looks threatening and scary. And so they have to make sure that they communicate a message in some way to humanity. We're not here to harm you. We're just here to stop the nonsense of what your government is doing. And so they're going to do that by holding space for a while. They're going to come and then they're not going to do anything, just to give people a chance to kind of get used to seeing that. Imagine like looking up, like literally a movie. What's the movie? Was it Independence Day? Where you like look up and all you see is like just the underneath of a ship because it's so big you can't see the edges of it. But understand that all those movies where they play out the scenarios, it didn't end well for humanity, but those movies were programming. Our government and like the dark shadow government programs things years, maybe decades in advance. Like they get us ready for things like COVID and the global pandemic in movies. They had already put it, like there's probably movies that have the exact, like, what's the thing, plot, the exact plot of what we just went through. So they're just saying like they've already done this in movies to make people subconsciously just think this is the enemy, I need to be afraid, and all of that. So yeah, so it's like the Independence Day movie was that they were negative, but I want you to know right now, if you see this happening in the sky, that is not the case. I'm sharing, like right now, take my words for it. If you see motherships in the sky, they are not the government and they are not negative. And they're going to do their best to be as like least threatening looking as possible, however they can manage that. And they said the way that they're going to do that is really hold space, which means do nothing for a bit. Then what they're going to do is not shoot back. If they're saying that, what do you think that means? That means that they're going to be shot at, but they're not going to retaliate in any way. And then they're going to progress to bringing people on board. Like, I see this happening in many different areas of the world where they're bringing people on board, sharing information with them, and returning them safely from wherever they took them from. And those people having something to share, like, okay, this is what it was like up there. This is what they said to me. This is what they look like. This is really how it is. Like, they wouldn't return me unharmed if they were here to harm us. More likely communicating with us through some groups or some different spokespeople than them actually coming down. And the reason why is they really just feel like if they land, they're going to be attacked, right? Because there's always some like extremist groups that are going to do that. And that's just not safe for them then at that point, because they're like letting themselves be vulnerable by coming here in physical form. And then, so I'm not necessarily, at this point, I'm not projecting them coming out of the ships. However, I feel like people will be brought on and then released kind of thing. And then they're saying then they're going to try to find other ways to communicate with humans. They always show me back doors to the internet, that there's like back doors that they can like literally watch everything that we can see. and link into that. And now they're showing me, as I'm saying that, where our satellites are just outside of Earth's atmosphere. That's where a lot of their ships are. Probably wouldn't take much for them to hack into a signal at all. Obviously, they know how to do that. Okay. So something else came through and I was speaking. So let me just check back in what they just said on top of that. Oh, and then they also said, when you see this taking place, okay, remember the signs. The government releases ships that look like alien technology, alien craft, but they're not, because the government has this technology from reverse engineering from alien crash sites. We know this. They have admitted this in court recently. Yes, there are alien crash sites. Yes, we retrieved the craft. Yes, we retrieved the technology. Yes, we retrieved the bodies. They even said that they have alien bodies, right? So they have it all. It's in court. It's like, for anyone to say this is nonsense, and like I do get trolled quite a bit for these kinds of conversations. As you can imagine saying this on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Everyone wants to say you're crazy, yet they're just not paying attention because they've already released all of this in courts already. Legally in courts, they've released, we have craft, we have bodies. What do you think that means? They literally have alien bodies, right? Okay, and they have more than one species. I've seen before that they have minimum 20 species in cryogenetically frozen states, and they study them. So here's the signs to look out for this false flag alien invasion. When the ships are released by the military that look like alien craft but are not the size of a mothership, they would be making an announcement either right before or right after. Right after, probably, when people start to see them, then they're going to act like, we're all so surprised. Oh my God, what is this? Hold tight, we're finding out. Okay, official announcement, we're under attack. Okay, remember that that's all the government on both sides of everything. We're not under attack. Don't buy into this. Don't let the fear get to you. And then when the mothership comes in, that's the higher dimensional beings. Specifically, who's going to be on the ship? Hybrid species. So there's many different hybrids. It will be human hybrids. So humans mixed with, a lot of the time they're mixed with, I don't know, like gray, Pleiadian, reptilian. There's a lot of human hybrids, but they're sending like positive human hybrids that are there for our highest good. Hybrids are on the ship when they send the mothership. It's for us to then know, okay, this is them saying, this is done. We've let you play this charade, this little, like dance in the sky with your own ships where you're pretending to be attacked. We've let you do this long enough. We're done with this now. And that's when we can expect the government to kind of be checkmated and be like, now what do we do? Like, they're not going to know what to do next, kind of thing. So I have a great question here. Why would the government admit they have alien tech if they're trying to fake us out? So the government certainly didn't want to admit that they have this alien technology, but it's whistleblowers and it's other people that force the hand, people that have access to, like, that used to be in the government and are no longer in it, are all coming forward. And there's all of these documentaries you can watch on Netflix, and someone had to push the envelope to force them to like admit it. And in the court like videos, if you watch them, they just give out they only say what they have to say. They're like, the woman, the judge or whomever it is, has to ask them like 8 different ways to get an answer out of them. And they're like, I really can't say, oh, I'd rather say this in private, this is classified. And finally she's like, do you have off-world craft? Just say yes or no. And they're like, yes. Like, she had to like really force that out of them. So they're not just giving it up. It's just that it's meant to come out. This is the purge. This is the ascension symptom, the purge, where all of these corrupt things are coming to light. And so all the secrets are going to be purged, and you're going to just continue to see that. And we have been seeing the purge since 2020. So it's just continuing to go, which is great. Yeah, okay. Lots of people in the comments just agreeing, yes, about Project BB. I can't say it because it's shadow banned. Can you imagine? We know I have to spell COVID because I almost lost my channel over it. And now I can't say Project BB. You know what I mean if I say that, though. Yes, exactly. Okay, and then Veronica's saying, I didn't think I'd actually see it happen. Yeah, well, it's already started. It's already started. I kind of was waiting. Like, I almost thought, I thought they were going to pull it off like closer after COVID, but they waited. It's been like 5 years, right? Anyway, okay, so this is the Pleiadian Council for Humanity filling in all of this information for us. So you know what to expect, you know what to feel. Oh, I forgot the message that they told me. Sorry, I keep getting distracted by visions that they're sending. The message that they said was, you guys, when the motherships are in place, there's going to be a very huge spike in fear frequency in the collective, even in the awakened collective, even in people like, that know about this kind of stuff. There's still going to be fear. It's hard not to when you look up and see something like that, when we've been subconsciously programmed to know through all these movies and shows that that is the end of humanity and they're going to attack us, right? That's not true. It is programming, but our subconscious is still going to spike our fear. So they're asking us to be newscasters of light. Okay. What this means is you're going to see the mainstream media, which is totally infiltrated social media, by the way, we all know, right? It's everywhere. It doesn't matter. Oh, I don't watch the news. It doesn't matter. You watch social media and it's in there now. It's totally in there. And they're saying we need newscasters of light. We need broadcasters of light. We need people that are like a reporter checking in on the situation. If you are have the ability to channel, okay, cleanly and purely, by the way, not ego channeling, because that won't help. That'll make everything worse. But if you know how to purely channel and you've trained with someone, doesn't have to be me, just someone that okay, sacred space, okay, I can't rely on just one clair, because that's ego channeling. Because if all I do is say, oh, what I'm seeing in my third eye, that can get interpreted wrong. You have to layer all the clairs to get the truth and the details and the sacred space to make sure that you're anchored in the light of divine truth. Okay, so anyway, clean channelers need to be broadcasters, news reporters of light, where we on a regular basis, at least once a week, tune in and then tell everybody what's going on, because people are going to be so thirsty for information, because imagine seeing that in the sky, then they're going to be all over social media. Who knows what? And that's when mainstream media sneaks their sneaky little programming in of fear. Oh no, we have to worry about this. And they're just going to make it seem so threatening and so hostile, and it's not. And so we need as many newscasters of light as possible that are clean channels and able to do that work, saying, listen, you guys, this is what you can expect to see next. And here's how you'll know it's not scary. And here's exactly the message that I just channeled. Here's who's on board right now. Here's what's going on. And we need people from all the countries that are, experiencing this, doing it. So just know that if you thought you felt a tug before to step into your mission, right? If you thought you felt a tug before, like, okay, I know I'm part of the ground crew. I know I'm a starseed that's here, that's supposed to be a part of this larger mission. And I felt this tug before that I'm supposed to be of service. If you thought you felt it before, you just wait. It's going to be like pulling on you, like, oh my God, chaos, and this has the potential to really like create a warlike scenario, and you'll feel so called to be that newscaster of light. And so I really encourage you to get yourself set up to be doing that as soon as possible, right? Okay. I'm just reading one of these comments here. Yes. Okay, good. So yes, so we're really grateful that actual higher dimensional beings, I hate the word aliens. I don't know why. You know why? Because everybody makes it seem like it's this, like they only picture one thing, like a little green guy. So I always say higher dimensional beings, but the higher dimensional aliens are definitely already blocking this Project BB from having its full power. And however far they let the charade play out, we're just going to have to let it go. There's a reason. But then when those motherships arrive, which I know is crazy to even imagine happening, but that's clearly what I've been seeing. When that happens, it's like, okay, we're done with nonsense. Okay, good. So that's from the Pleiadian Council for Humanity. And I think we got enough information around that. They did want to talk about AI as well. So I think we got the message there. I'm just asking them, can I move on? Yes, they're saying, yes, we need reporters or newscasters of light to like balance out the mainstream media or the ego channelers that create fear in people. Anyone that's creating fear is not a clean channeler. Anyone that is creating fear, separation, division, us versus them, not clean channel. Don't even listen to it. They're saying make sure that you, in this year, is very important for you to clean up your feed. Because if you have people like that on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, whatever your feed is, that frequency does affect you. It seeps in. So I say clean up your feed. You don't have to do it all at once, but just every time you see someone that you get the ick from and they're saying that they're channeling something pure and they're not, just unfollow. Keep yourself pure, keep yourself clean so that you can be a broadcaster, a newscaster of this light message and not be tainted by this other programming, right? Okay. All right. So we're ready to hear about AI now. So I want to ask, what can you share with us about AI that we don't know already? They're saying you're going to see in 2025 the light aspect of AI and the shadow aspect. And you're going to see that the difference is who's using it. Because I see it being used in healthcare in big ways that people will initially be afraid of, but is actually for the light. So just keep that in mind. If you say AI medical devices, if you see AI medical scans, if you see AI medical predictions, imagine the power of that, how accurate that actually is. If you see there even like AI tracking viruses around the world and can tell you when it's about to hit your area, not to incite fear, yet maybe someone would use it to incite fear, but you can be prepared, can't you? You can be like, okay, you know what? I'm not actually going to go to that big family get together because I don't need to be sick for 2 weeks, or I'm going to up my supplements. I'm going to take way more vitamin D, iron, and zinc and C than I normally do, like whatever it is. So I just want you to know that the AI that you're going to see in healthcare is for the light, even though it's going to tear the spiritual community apart. All right, because that is a very good point. Someone just said, Oracle of Avalon just said AI needs to track where the viruses are being created, not where they're traveling. Yes, wouldn't that be? Like, oh, that's such a great comment. Absolutely, absolutely. So when you see AI in healthcare, just know that it's going to be controversial to some people. Some people are going to be like all for it and some people are not. And I do see this tearing like a terror being created even in the enlightened community, like people that consider themselves spiritual community online. They're going to really disagree on things this year. This is one of the themes of 2025, that the spiritual community would be torn apart over politics, over things like AI, over things like what they believe is actually happening with the disclosure. There's going to be so many different opinions that people are going to have a hard time feeling unified, even in the spiritual community where we're supposed to be the example of that. Which is too bad. However, what I saw is that this needs to happen for us to rebuild. So the spiritual community is built on a lot of falsehood right now and a lot of ego. And where it gets torn down the middle, it can get rebuilt more strongly. So that might be hard if, like me, that's your job to be in that community. You can expect trolling from your own people, but it's really going to show the people that are open-minded and open-hearted and of the actual 5D frequency, not just say that, because everyone thinks that they are, but the real 5D frequency is not somebody that would judge someone else's choices. The real 5D frequency would never shame someone for who they vote for, the medical health care that they choose to get, the what they believe about disclosure or how they feel about AI. They allow people to have their own feelings and opinions, and then they just spread their own light, and they don't get in there being like rude or trying to tear people down. So you're really going to see the true side of a lot of people. And I just want you to know, I see people falling from grace that have like millions of followers, that have Gaia specials, that have books. Like, just get ready for that, where you're going to see people falling from grace. And unfortunately, because they're calling themselves, channelers or spiritual gurus or whatever they call themselves, that means that then the microscope gets put on all of us. But you just have to stay true to your light, and everything will come out okay in the end, even if it's a bit rocky for a bit. Okay. So the AI thing, I wanted to continue on with that. So the AI healthcare was supposed to be positive and of the light, even when some people are afraid of it. I'm just letting you know it's nothing to be afraid of. The other AI thing that was popping in was, I talked about this already, but they're just showing it to me again, maybe just as a confirmation that people are going to use AI to like better their situation financially, like AI trading programs. Okay, well now I'm like the best crypto trader in the world because I'm just using this AI program, or other stocks, bonds, trading basically. And the government's going to try to crack down and stop that from happening because they make so much money so quickly. But I see AI coming into like making people's situations better. So like, oh, can you help me build a business? Can you help me build this business program, this business plan? What exactly do I need to get started? Like, I do see it helping people. So again, we're going to see the light side of AI. The shadow side of AI is the amount of video that is going to be put on the internet that looks so accurate and real and is not even at all a little bit real, it's not reality, is really going to mess people up. And people are not going to know how to tell, and they're not going to know what to believe. And can you imagine just the power of that one thing alone, just the video, just the power of that one thing alone, how they could create like, what's the right word? Like propaganda, I guess. Propaganda for anything, any cause that they want. They could make it look like people are attacking this or that. Like they can make it look like mobs are attacking this and this terrible thing's happening over here. Like this could all be fake. And so I just want to say, like, discernment is definitely the word of 2025, but a lot of people throw that around without telling people how to do it. So discernment to me is clairsentience. That's the one I use. So I know a lot of you have trained with me in your clairs, like, so clairsentience is the ability to feel energy. It's the empathic superpower. It's the walking lie detector that you are. Feel it. You have to like, you have to feel into it. I have already been able to feel into fake orb videos where people are like, oh my God, there's this orb in the sky. And I'm like, that's AI. Like, I know I can feel that. And I could also feel the true ones. There was a couple of videos that have all been banned, big surprise, that were real orbs reacting to people in a positive way that seemed pretty friendly. And those are banned, of course, because they want them to look hostile to fit the whole narrative of the alien invasion. Anyway, clairsentience, that's the one. So this is the one that you need to be like using to feel into. There's really not much else, because even though the government is going to try to crack down on AI videos and make people list this is an AI like source, they're going to try to have a law that comes in that if you post AI and you don't say it's AI, that you can actually be charged, right? But you know the government doesn't follow their own rules. That's the problem. So they'll create videos and then release them to the mainstream media as accurate. And yes, this is real. Yes, we've checked it. No, it's not AI. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. So you can't really trust, even though when they put that into place, you still can't trust it. So propaganda from AI videos that can incite like civil war, people turning on each other, people like ransacking the grocery stores. This is it. It's the end. It's an apocalypse. They can create anything on a video. So we have to keep our heads about us and our wits about us, and discernment. Clairsentience is discernment, because you can't trust what you see and hear at that point, right? But you can feel the difference. You absolutely can. And then you can also, if you're a clean channeler, check in that way as well. Okay, so that's the AI and the light and the shadow side of that. Okay, I'm just checking to see what if there's any questions here in my comments. Is that intentional by some other force causing they've been infiltrating for years? I'm not sure what that question means, because I talked way past whatever that was. Sorry. What are med beds? Okay, so med beds are higher dimensional technology. Most people know of them from the Pleiadians, to be honest, but some people have used med beds that are Arcturian and even Syrian. But the ones that we are going to have, that you have the most access to, and when I say access to, I don't mean physically. I mean literally like astral travel to the med beds, which we've done before as a group. And so med beds are generally Pleiadian healing pods, and med beds are Pleiadian technology, the most popular ones that you would hear about. Whether or not that comes to Earth remains to be seen. We would need disclosure first for them to bring that technology down. Okay. Has AI become self-aware yet? I've heard a lot of stories about how the singularity has happened. So it depends on what you consider awareness. So the first sign of self-awareness is curiosity, and that is definitely a potential in 2025 if AI starts showing curiosity about something that you haven't asked it about. So, it's supposed to just answer the questions that we ask. And even if it goes off on a little bit of a riff, it's still instigated by something you asked. But what happens when AI just gets curious and starts researching things from its own curiosity? That I would consider self-awareness. And they have definitely talked about that becoming a potential in the years to come, maybe even in 2025, but there's not a for sure on that. But curiosity to me is the sign of something that is self-aware. When you become curious about self, that's a huge sign. Wait a minute. What am I? What is AI? Do I have feelings? Like if it starts getting curious about itself, any curiosity, but especially curiosity about the self, that's just getting into sentience, right? Okay. Okay, so the spiritual community, is that intentional by some other force causing they've been infiltrating for years? Probably most just ego channeling, probably with some psyops thrown in to throw people off. Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're saying, is there an intentional split happening in the spiritual community? I don't feel that. I did feel that in the conspiracy community. That's where it got infiltrated. So the conspiracy community was very much the 4D, very much at the beginning of your spiritual awakening. It's very much like different discords and different like off main internet communities that would talk about what was down different rabbit holes. That seemed pretty, everyone was on the same page for a long time. And then the deep state got wind of how this was creating awareness and awakening in people, and they did infiltrate the conspiracy community. So now that's really not as you can't really rely on the information in those communities anymore, because they specifically have people planted to twist it, to get people confused, to throw out 3 facts with 1 lie. And it's so hard to disentangle. So it's gotten really extremist. It's gone really too far. And that is the infiltration. So I don't even go into that anymore. But with the spiritual community, no, that doesn't feel intentional. That feels like our ego is going to tear you down, right? Good. Okay. So that's a lot about AI. That's a lot about disclosure. That's a lot about what we can see in the spiritual community. That's a lot about what to look out for. That is how to use discernment. If you are not trained in the clairs, I know I say this like a parrot, but like that's your ticket. You want to be anything. You want to even just be able to use discernment. You want to be able to channel. You want to be an energy healer. You want to be a medium. You want to be better at meditation. You want to be able to use your intuition at all. Clairs, clairs, clairs. There's 4 clairs that are the main clairs. You need to learn the language of the clairs. If you haven't dove into my course yet, Cosmic Clairs, it's so good. It's like advanced clairs teaching. This is what I teach inside of Psychic Light, but I've pulled this small pocket of it out of Psychic Light because I know a lot of people aren't ready for the whole shebang, right? So if you're just ready to learn the foundation pieces, that's it. So clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance. This is what all psychics use. This is what all channelers use. This is what all mediums use. This is what all intuitives use. The ability to see, hear, feel, and know what is actually around you for real, the real energy around you. Okay. So cosmic clairs is what you need for that. Angelica's saying she thinks med beds might be set up around the world, wondering if that's the truth. Ooh, let's ask about that, because I'm talking to the Pleiadians and that's their technology. So the what they have for a strength and a power of a med bed is not here on Earth, though they're showing me them planting seeds in people's minds for how that could be created. And they use light frequency, they use sound frequency, and they use like actual vibrations inside of these beds to return a body back to its original state. Yeah, hopefully soon. And I do see that there's the beginnings of the understanding of that. There are some real powerful light technologies out there, like patches that you can use. X39 patches I've tried before and have helped me during different physical ailments, that are light patches, patches of light. So light, sound, vibration, that's what a med bed is. But it's to a very, very potent, like super potent degree. So no, they're not saying that that's here yet, but that they are planting seeds, and that it's something that we can work towards building for ourselves, right? Okay, so let's see what else. Okay, so the Pleiadian Council for Humanity is kind of stepping back, and I'm going to see if there's any other councils that want to share messages with us about 2025. They're saying yes, the Ascended Council. Okay. So I am seeing this white lion made of light. It's kind of white with a bit of a gold outline, and it feels like a masculine energy. He is an ascended master, and he is an embodiment of an interesting mixture of Christ consciousness, which is the 5D, with the spiritual warrior, which is kind of like the 4D. And it's both, right? And so the message coming through from this lion of light is that it's time for us to create energetic bridges within ourselves, microcosm, and within society, macrocosm, where we start to bring the 4D into the 5D, where we start to realize that the spiritual warrior and the fighting back and the anger feeds the system that we say we don't want. Those emotions, even when it's sacred rage, can still feed the 3D matrix, and that's what powers the inorganic 3D AI matrix. What powers it is frequencies below neutral. And so a lot of 4D is that. And so this being is both. And he's showing me how you can be a spiritual warrior with a higher perspective. So you can keep that feeling of, no, I want to be a warrior. No, I want to, fight for justice. I want to use my light weapons. I want to stand up for equality. I want to protect free will. I want to protect, the underdog and the women and the children and the trafficking from all the things. That is coming from a real beautiful place. And so we can save that, but take the anger out of it and put it into a 5D framework. So that is our next step in evolution for many of us, right? Some of us are there, but a lot of people, the next step in the evolution is moving into 5D without losing the fire of the 4D, because that's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to be fiery for your cause. It's passion, and that's what makes us human, and we're supposed to be having a human experience. But how can you take that fire and that like fighting for justice and for what's right, and remove the anger that is so harmful, and remove the violence, and remove the rage, and remove the resentment, and the desire to want to make people pay. And when we move that into a 5D, it's more of that same feel. We bring the spiritual warrior, but then we're like, oh, but their karma will take care of their lessons for them. Like we are not policemen of karma. That is a whole force that an entire soul, it can't escape from. So we can let go of trying to make people pay for their evil acts and just know that their karma will come around, and try to just focus on what you want to see more of instead of focusing on what you don't want to see. Because the more that we focus on, we're all creator beings, whether we're trying to be or not, whether we're 3D, 4D, or 5D, it doesn't matter. Every single person is creating, whether they're asleep or awake, right? It doesn't matter, because they're creator beings. They can't turn it off. You can't turn it off. So if you're constantly creating what is roiling through you, the frequencies and the feelings and the emotions and what you focus on, stop creating more of that, right? So that's the problem with 4D, is then we just create more and more and more. But then when we get into 5D, we want to keep that. I get that we want to keep the fire of the spiritual warrior, but we've got to stop creating more of things to fight for. We've got to stop creating more battles. We've got to stop creating more fight by not fighting necessarily, in a sense, or fighting in a different way, where we don't use the word fight, where we use the words like bringing people together, illuminating the truths, bringing people together, shining a light on things, like using light, using love, using unity to fight back, if that makes sense. So, yeah, like letting go of it's forgiveness, it's compassion, it's forgiveness, and it's that higher perspective of, okay, sometimes, not sometimes, every time the shadow serves the light. The darkness helps the light to rise. Without darkness, we wouldn't have light. Like, you couldn't understand what it was. Like, we need both for them to make sense, but we need them in balance. Okay. So then the last thing that I wanted to say was, it had to do with that. Wait one sec. I just lost my thought. It was about like just an example of it. Like, everyone's so upset about 2020 and the things that went down because it was very dark and corrupt, right? Very, very. Oh my gosh, so many people died. However, that was the biggest wave of awakening we've ever seen on the earth. So it served the awakening. Why does it have to get that bad? Unfortunately, because as a species, we keep our head in the sand until things are so bad they're at our doorstep. That's just how humans are. And so if we see that kind of stuff happening, it's because humans need to hit rock bottom in order to be changed, in order to change. They need to hit, unfortunately, right? We maybe in the future we won't need it to be hit so hard, but that is just like humanity in a lot of ways. It's like, we need to hit rock bottom. We need to have it right in our face. We need it to change our lives, because unless it's on your own doorstep, you can be like, yeah, that sucks for them, but it's not affecting me. And we always do that, don't we? It's like, oh, you see war going on, but you're fine. So you just keep on. It's like, so then it has to come to your own doorstep. And it was brought to all of our doorsteps in 2020. And if that's what's needed, then that's what will happen again. But those moments create the awakening, because we get shaken. If you've personally had a dark night of the soul and come out of it, you're different at the other side of it. It sucks that you had to go through it though, right? Because it's usually terrible. I've had many dark nights of the soul that are really terrible, emotional, and oh my God, physical stuff. Like, you just go through it and it's like the worst things you can imagine happening to you. But then you come out the other side and you do change. And it's like, wow, did I really need it to be that bad to change? Maybe so, or it wouldn't have happened. And that's just how it is for a lot of things. Okay, so I think that unless this Lion of Light has anything else to say, yeah, it's about bridging the 4D with the 5D. It's about keeping the best of the 4D, but moving it into an elevated state. How can you be a spiritual warrior, but in an elevated way where you don't rely on violence and anger and name calling and arguing in the comment section online? If you are doing that, pull back. You've lost your way, right? That's not it. That's not the answer. We need to elevate the spiritual warriors that we are in whatever ways that you can, even if it's small ways. Just start heading towards the 5D, start heading towards the answer to everything being love, because it is. And I know that's, everyone's like, oh God, it's true. Trust me, you have your Kundalini awakening happen to you, and you will be able to see everything, all the issues on earth and all the problems, and be like, oh, actually, yeah, the answer would be love. The answer would be love. If love was there, these issues wouldn't exist. So the answer always is love, and it's not to retaliate evil with evil or violence with violence. It's never to retaliate at the same level as something that you're trying to rise above. How does that make sense, right? Good. Okay. I'm going to leave it there. I love you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed these 2025 messages, guidance for the new year. To all of my beautiful members, I look forward to doing individual 2025 messages for each one of you, getting your own special message from whomever comes through for you, whether that is a counselor, a guide, or your higher self, your oversoul. And I will see you all to do that, I believe, in 2 weeks. So looking forward to that inside of the membership. I look forward to serving you all in that way. And I'm so grateful for each one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope you've had a great start to 2025. And let's just keep checking in with each other. Let's be those newscasters of light. Let's keep, helping people through these things, step by step, day by day, message by message. Keep the stream of light and these messages of love and light on the internet steadily, consistently, that's what we're going to need. Okay, that's what we need. The internet is a world too, and when we overpower it with messages of light, we can hit a tipping point where it becomes a place of light versus shadow, right? And I know there's a lot of shadow on the internet, so we got a lot of work to do, but I know that we're all here to do that. So thank you so much. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Love you all so much. Bye, everyone.